The 1 yard line. That's where Coinbase CEO Brian Armstrong says the biggest crypto bill in American history is standing right now. And he flew to Washington himself this week to push it over. And he's not alone either. More than 800,000 people have messaged their representatives trying to get this thing passed. But here's the brutal part. The 1 yard line is also where games get lost. Because this bill needs 60 votes in the Senate and Republicans only have 53, meaning 7 Democrats have to cross the aisle and say yes. And the top Democrat on the very committee that shaped this bill? Senator Elizabeth Warren, the fiercest crypto skeptic in Congress. 800,000 voices, 1 yard to go, 14 days on the clock. Let me show you how this actually plays out and exactly what it means for XRP. Let's dig in. Real quick, from me to you, I'm not a financial advisor, and this isn't financial advice. And one more thing, This Is Good is a political story, so I'm going to give you both sides fairly and let you make up your own mind. No cheerleading, no villains, just the facts and the honest odds. Never risk what you can't afford to lose, and always do your own research. Cool? All right, let's get into it. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Crypto with BHW, where we tell it to you straight with heart. Grab your coffee, get comfy, because the next 14 days might genuinely be the most important 2 weeks XRP has had in years. Let's go. All right, let me set the table, because a lot happened in a very short window, and the market reacted instantly. On July 21st, U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent went on Bloomberg and said the Clarity Act, the big crypto market structure bill, is at the 1 yard line. And he didn't just describe it, he urged Congress to pass it before they leave for the August recess. Now watch how fast the market moved on those words. Bitcoin jumped about 2.5%, pushing towards 67,000. Ethereum climbed too. And Coinbase stock, it shot up as much as 13% in a single session. Think about what that tells you. That's not retail hype on Twitter. That's institutional money repricing in real time, because the U.S. Treasury Secretary said we're almost there. And around the same time, Brian Armstrong posted from Washington himself. His message was simple. The bill's at the 1 yard line. It's a genuine compromise built by both parties. And the status quo, no federal rules at all, isn't serving anybody. He pointed at collapses like FTX as exactly what happens when there are no clear rules. He also thanked the Stand With Crypto community for over 800,000 messages to lawmakers, and said that with fingers crossed, there's a good chance this reaches the full Senate floor in the next few weeks. So that's the setup. The Treasury Secretary says 1 yard. The biggest crypto CEO in America is physically in the Capitol pushing, and the market already voted with its wallet. That's the good news, and it's real. But 1 yard doesn't mean done, because there are still 2 specific things standing in the way. And once you understand what they are, you'll know exactly what to watch for. Let me break them down. Okay, let's get specific, because this is where most channels wave their hands and say, politics, and move on. You deserve better. According to Bloomberg Intelligence analyst Nathan Dean, there were 2 hurdles left. 2. That's it. Hurdle 1, the ethics language. This is the conflict of interest provision about how the president, vice president, and members of Congress can profit from digital assets while in office. This is the fight that jammed the whole bill for months. And here's the good news. It was reported that President Trump has now signed off on the ethics language in the text. But, and this is the honest caveat, Senate Democrats haven't seen that text yet. Analysts are specifically cautioning that Democrats may have a very different take once they read it. So it's progress, not a done deal. Hurdle 2. Bank-level scrutiny for crypto platforms. This is language that would hold platforms like Coinbase and Robinhood to the same standards banks face. Bank Secrecy Act compliance, know your customer rules, customer protections. And honestly, that's a fair thing to argue about. Nobody wants another FTX. There's also been movement on who enforces all this. Senator Kevin Cramer, a Republican on the banking committee, said there appears to be agreement that the Department of Justice would be the prevailing enforcer, which he backed because it creates one uniform set of rules instead of a patchwork. And Cramer's overall read? We're almost there. He said the bill gets clearer as each issue gets handled. But, and I respect him for this, he refused to promise a date. His words, he doesn't know that they get to it this week. So, 2 hurdles, both being actively negotiated, both genuinely solvable. That's why Bloomberg Intelligence put the odds at 60% for this year. 60%. That's better than a coin flip and way better than where we were a month ago. But that number lives or dies on one thing. 7 people. Let me introduce you to the math that decides everything. All right, this is the part I really want you to understand, because once you get it, every headline for the next 2 weeks will make sense. In the Senate, most big bills need 60 votes to break a filibuster and reach a final vote. Republicans hold 53 seats. 53 is not 60. 50 still vote, nobody 60. So no matter how enthusiastic the White House is, no matter CEOs fly to Washington cannot pass without at least 7 Democrats crossing over. 7. That's the whole game. Quick one before we go further. Did you know Coinbase stock jumped as much as 13% in a single session just from the Treasury Secretary's comments? Type yes or no in the comments. I really want to see who caught that. Now, here's the name that matters most on the Democratic side. Senator Elizabeth Warren. She's the ranking Democrat on the Senate Banking Committee, the committee this bill had to move through. And she's been the most consistent, most vocal crypto skeptic in Congress for years. She led the opposition when the stablecoin bill went through, and she fought it hard in committee. And I want to be fair here, because this isn't a cartoon. Her concerns aren't invented. She's focused on consumer protection, on illicit finance, on making sure a law written for this industry doesn't accidentally create loopholes that hurt regular people. Whether you agree with her or not, and plenty don't, those are legitimate things for a lawmaker to press on. Even Senator Mark Warner, who supports the bill's goals, has said he wants it done, but not in a way that makes illicit finance easier. So that's the room. Warren is the gravity every pro-crypto negotiator is working against. And the pressure is real on the other side, too. Senate Majority Leader John Thune is expected to schedule a vote and put every single senator, both parties, on the record, yes or no, in public. And analysts think that pressure is exactly what eventually pulls enough Democrats across. 7 votes. That's it. That's the whole thing. So why is everyone so obsessed with these specific 2 weeks? Why not next month? Why not the fall? Because the calendar is about to slam shut, and what's behind it is uglier than most people realize. Let me show you. Okay, this is the part that explains all the urgency you're feeling from everyone in Washington right now. The Senate has roughly 2 working weeks left before the August recess. That's the window. And here's what happens if this bill doesn't clear it. Straight from the analysts who track this for a living. September gets swallowed by a government shutdown fight. A continuing resolution has to get passed, and when Washington is fighting about keeping the lights on, nothing else moves. Then, right behind that, we roll into election season. And in election season, nobody wants to touch anything remotely controversial. Every vote becomes a campaign ad. So the honest framing is this. It's not pass it now or it dies. It's pass it now or it faces a very challenging future, possibly getting pushed well into next year or beyond. And that's the pressure Bessent was applying when he said, now is the time to vote. There's also competition for the floor itself. This bill is fighting for Senate days against a shutdown-avoiding funding bill and a reconciliation package, and Cramer actually ranked those ahead of other items. So even with the will to pass it, someone has to physically carve out the hour. But here's my optimistic read, and I mean it. That same deadline pressure is exactly what forces deals to happen. Nothing in Washington moves until there's a clock. Well, now there's a clock, it's loud, and everyone can hear it. Bills that sit for months often move in a single week when the calendar squeezes. That's not naive hope. That's just how legislatures work. So let's bring it home to the only question that actually matters to you. What does all of this mean for XRP specifically? And what should you be watching over the next 14 days? Here we go. All right, let me give it to you straight, the way I'd tell a friend across the table. Why does this bill matter more for XRP than almost any other asset? Because of one question that's haunted it since day one. What is XRP legally? Security or commodity? That fog is what kept exchanges cautious, kept institutions on the sidelines, and dragged Ripple through years of court. The Clarity Act is built to answer that at the federal level, to draw the line and hand oversight to the right regulator. And when that fog lifts, the dominoes fall in order. Exchanges get comfortable, institutions lose their regulatory risk excuse, and products that were frozen in the gray zone finally get to launch. That's why Armstrong's 1-yard line comment moved markets, because the market understands what's on the other side of that line. Now, the honest scorecard. 60% odds from Bloomberg Intelligence, genuinely encouraging, and much better than the coin flip we had a few weeks ago. But 60% still means a 4 in 10 chance it doesn't happen this year. Democrats haven't read the text. No vote is officially on the schedule yet. And anyone showing you a thumbnail that says Senate vote confirmed is getting ahead of the facts. So what do you actually watch over the next 14 days? 3 things. 1. Does the revised text get released publicly? 2. What do Senate Democrats say once they've read it? Especially the moderates, not just the loudest voices. And 3. Does Thune actually schedule floor time? That third one is the real green light. Everything else is noise. And here's how I'd hold all of this emotionally, because that matters too. Be hopeful. We've genuinely never been this close. But don't stake your peace of mind on a 2-week window. If it passes, fantastic, the fog lifts. If it slips, the world keeps moving. Japan already legitimized crypto, Europe has its framework, and the builders never stop building. XRP's story was never a single vote. Zoom out one last time. A couple of years ago, XRP was fighting for its life in a courtroom. Today, the Treasury Secretary is on television urging Congress to pass the bill that gives it legal certainty. That arc only points one direction over the long run. The pain doesn't last forever. It never does. So here's where I'll leave you, fam. 1 yard to go. 7 votes to find. 14 days on the clock. And a community that watches the facts instead of the fear. Whatever happens, green light or a longer road, we walk through it together. Clear eyes and steady hands, because that's what we do here. If this made the whole picture click for you, do me a favor. Drop your honest take below. Do they get it done before August? I read every single comment. This has been Crypto with BHW, where we tell it straight with heart. Stay ready, stay hopeful, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.